So we're going to watch something like of a movie. The 6 task force teams are going to present to you a summary of their results, their next steps, and their rally cry. So if I were you, I would do like that and watch. Because each of them will take us to the new landscape, and I will call them very briefly one by one. They have a 5-minute presentation. I need you to sit very still, watch very well, and imagine yourself as they take us to the new landscape. For the first task force team, let me now call on the report of leadership development and theological education. Big hand for Dr. Teresa.
So this is the leadership development and theological education. First, let me just show some pictures of what happened during the sessions. Please show the next 2 slides. Okay, we really had a good group, and they were so engaged. So you will see in the next picture that they were really working. So next session will show you. Next picture, next slide will show you. These are examples of what was happening during our sessions. They were really engaged, really working on certain activities. And so we also revisited our case stories. And so we wanted them to contribute. As we shared during our first report, we need to gather more stories. So we asked this question: what is happening in Asia and what global trends are worth looking into? And so they contributed their stories, what they have observed from their context. And you will see how they were actually also having fun because we asked them to rank these stories. Okay, next slide. We look at the key findings, and based on the additional stories, we were affirmed in the findings that we reported to you on Tuesday. So they look at these different findings. Each finding, we discuss it. Okay, and then next, we came up with this last session today. We focus on this question: how can we help the church face the opportunities and challenges of the new landscape in light of the reports of the other task forces and the issues raised in the plenary sessions? We have heard so many challenges and opportunities, and these are what they listed in terms of what we can do to help the church, what should be the focus. And so these different ideas, we clustered them, and then we came up with our action points. So let me now show you our action points based on all those themes that we have come up with. First, for this to move forward, there must be a committee, a group responsible to take this forward. So the suggestion is revive the AEA Theological Commission to be responsible in moving this forward. Otherwise, again, this will just be all talk. Nothing will come out of it. Then encourage more interdisciplinary approaches in training. Because of the diverse needs and issues, it should not just be pastors, theologians. Other professionals can contribute. Then there should be more conversation and collaboration among theological bodies and the church. We need to listen, learn from one another, and consider integrating all these challenges and issues in the existing curriculum of the Bible schools and seminaries, and if needed, create new courses. Then we actually need theologians, pastors, leaders who can communicate. Maybe we need theologians who can bring their very good ideas to the grassroots, and maybe use TikTok, use technology to be able to equip God's people. And so, we also believe that to be effective in the new landscape, we need leaders who are lifelong learners. I'd like to ask my group, we will be shouting our battle cry. We will be encouraging churches, theological institutions to develop leaders who can do this. Okay, let's all shout our battle cry. intentional lifelong learning for biblically faithful, contextually relevant, and intergenerational worship and witness. Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
All right. So, faith expression of young people, and so during our working session, we had around 15 to 20 people roughly who really love the young people and who want to make an impact on the young people. So, this is what we have decided, and our course of action would be in a following way. But before getting into that, I just want you to project the statement that we found. All right. So here is the statement which says, I see no hope for the future of our people if they are dependent on the frivolous youth of today. Not youth of you, but youth of today. Frivolous means hopeless generation. So I see no hope. Can you guess when this statement was made? Because we had very intergenerational kind of group, so the seniors were saying, oh, these young guys are, it's very difficult to reach them. Can you guess when this statement was made? It sounds very contemporary, right? But if we go to next slide, we see that this statement was made in 8th century BC by a Greek poet called Hesiod. So, generation after generation, people see no hope in the younger generation. But some of us, we came together, we worked hard to understand what's really happening on the field, and we were able to discuss substantially and find out what's really happening on our mission field. Can we go to next slide, please? All right, so these are the findings from our workshop. The first thing we found, in a nutshell, I'm just sharing this, they are digital natives because when they were born, they were born with Wi-Fi's, all the gadgets. So these things are not new. They are not confused like millennials like us. When you give a digital book to a millennial, we are confused. Which one is right, digital book or the physical book? But these guys are digital natives. We also found that their digital diversity is a key. So they believe in diversity and they are not really into homogeneous things. Designated global citizens, so we know how the global culture is impacting our young people, whether he is in Pakistan, whether he is in Korea, whether he is in India or Japan or elsewhere. So these guys are designated global citizens devoted to issue. So devoted to issue, if any social cause is there, any activism is happening, so these guys are the first one to jump into that and be opinionated about it and do something for that. Further, we saw deterioration in mental health and emotional health. This is one of the prominent issue we found in our discussions, like what is happening among the young people when it comes to mental health and emotional health. We also discussed, like, do we really need pastors to counsel the young people? Some of us strongly felt that we need to have Christian professional who would take up the cause and help this generation where we see the mental health and the emotional health is deteriorating. Further, we found that this generation is very, very cause-oriented generation. You give them a cause, you give them a purpose, they will be fully on it. So, why we believe this, like our era, this generation is fully loaded with information. We are not deprived of information. But this generation is longing for cause. If we give them purpose, if we give them cause to live, to lead, certainly they will be with us. Can we go to next slide, please? All right. And this is the one thing that really jumped out for all of us. Authenticity is valued over authority. Most of the time we go as authority, I am your senior guy and I'm an elderly person and you have to listen to me. But these guys value authenticity. When we are vulnerable, when we are not wearing any mask, we are being genuine, they will certainly be with us and they will listen to us. Can we go to next slide? I know it is a very irritating irritating word when I say go to next slide. Creating a network. So these are the next step we decided. First one, creating a network of like-hearted and like-minded and gospel-centered youth leaders in Asia. We have found that in the US and in many places they have coalition, they have network, but we want to have a network of like-minded and like-hearted and gospel-centered youth leaders in Asia and for Asia. So most of us are already on it, and we are discussing with some leaders who are also not here, but they are fully with us. They are on this cause. Further, we have decided to do kind of a mapping among the Asian youth, because most of the data we got from the West, and they are doing very, very succinct job. But here we found the need of really gathering data from Asian perspective and understanding what really happening on the ground. And finally, we decided as a next step, designing intentional discipleship initiatives. So we are intentional about it. The first two things I just want to share with you all. We have decided in month of February in 2024, we are gathering, Bangladesh is gathering their millennial leaders, and also they are bringing Gen Z, where we will sit together, we'll deliberate over issues, and we will see how God leads us and what will come out of it. So that is the first actionable step we are taking. The second step we are taking, we the millennials have found out that we have a pressure of performance. So we have found out that, sometimes our being is neglected over doing. So we have decided to come together in the month of March in 2024, probably in Japan, and we as millennials will be coming together to focus on our being, so that our doing also will flow out of our being. So these are the two things we will be doing. These are our immediate actions. So our commitment is to lead the younger generation. The first thing, learn together. It's not that we have got everything right, but we want to really learn from this generation. We want to learn from our contemporaries, and also we want to learn from senior leaders, because none of us is perfect. We want to encourage our generation, because always there are criticism, or this generation is this or that, but we want to intentionally encourage the younger generation. Further, we want to assess them regularly. So it's not that we are encouraging them, okay, if you want to sin, you just go ahead sinning, but we want to assess them on a very regular and an intentional basis. And finally, disciple making disciples. So we want to be discipled by our seniors, and at the same time, we want to disciple our generation and the generation that is ahead of us. Final slide, please. So this is what we believe. Youth are not leaders of tomorrow, but today. May God bless you and give you heart to reach the younger generation in Asia and beyond.
The church in the New Landscape Task Force is back on the stage. And our rally cry, and we want everyone to read this together, remind you again of our rally cry. Next, please. 3, 2, 1. In a rapidly changing world, a powerful church full of faith stands strong, bursting with love for a broken world. United in purpose and vision, as we face the challenges ahead, we are appointed by God to complete the one task He has commanded us to do, the Great Commission.
So our grand question is, what fundamental things have to change to align the church in Asia to become the Great Commission church that will fulfill its mandate? And how can the church navigate that kind of change? What decision, action, realignment need to happen on the ground? So we have our challenged become commissions, and we have two groups. One is from Lions, and Lions is from the Lions representing Brother Hiru from Japan, and from the Lambs representative will be from Brother Wei J from Singapore.
Okay, please.
Okay, hello.
Give it up for the Lions and the Lambs. We need some fire in the place.
So I represent the group on the Lions. So please.
Next.
Yes. So the closing window, this is one of the challenges of the 6. So we got to say a motivated church is a commission. So I will read. The church in Asia will collaboratively accelerate the work of the Great Commission towards 2033. This united church will sacrificially and strategically work while it is yet day, realizing that the church has no choice as time is running short. Okay, so our implementation, I won't read for the sake of time, but we will submit to IEA. Okay, so second, please. So the cultural invasion, the second challenge. So we're going to say the commission will be a family church. The church in Asia is committed to empowering every parent to lead every child and make disciples of a person at home, in the church, and in the greater community. Okay, so these are the implementation. Okay, so please go next. So third challenge, the generation gap is kind of big. So an intergenerational church will be a commission. And the Asian church is an intergenerational church that is invested in the life and listening to, training, and disciplining the young men and women and empowering them to engage in the faith community and be partners in mission. So these are the implementation. So please read carefully, maybe later. Okay.
Hello, I'll be going through the LAMPs, and just a reminder that these are the different challenges which Mark has introduced yesterday. And next slide, please. So the first challenge is on leadership issue, and we wanted to transform this into a commission for the churches in leadership development. And this is our commission statement that we have come up with. The Asian church is fashioned after the biblical model of 2 Timothy 2:2 of intentionally investing in growing godly leaders. Leadership towards 2033 will demand a comprehensive leader care program of mentoring and discipleship, initiated and supported by senior pastors. Next slide. And these are the implementation that we come up with, and we will not go through all this. Yeah. And the second challenge is on Sunday focus, or rather a church model based on Sunday-centric worship services. And we wanted to turn it into a commission of everyday disciple-making church. So the church in Asia is dedicated to the Great Commission mandate of making disciples of all nations as an everyday mission, starting with every family. Next. And once again, these are the implementation. And lastly, the third challenge we have identified are the inward growth models, and we want to turn it into an outward growth model where church inherit the commission of church planting and missions DNA. So the Asian church sees the world as its mission field and is intentional about making community outreach and church planting initiatives as a core missional objective. Next, and once again, these are the implementation. And with that, we would like to humbly submit the lions and the lambs to all of you for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I got an extra 30 seconds that was awarded to me by Keith Cody. And what I would say is that the process over the last 2 or 3 days, we had such an incredible input from amazing leaders. And unfortunately, we don't have time to kind of present more the implementation side of it, but we'll go ahead and submit the implementation suggestions to back to the committee of the ACML. And but one thing that we really did feel is the urgency in every single one of the challenges that became commissions was an extraordinary amount of urgency for the church to make radical shifts and changes. And while that's not easy, it's also we've entered into a season where we have no more margin. And so hopefully the task force will be productive for the greater church. Thank you guys. God bless you.
You will notice that we have a change of leader. Our family task force leader is sick, but we are a team, so we stepped up. I also want to just say that whenever you embark on family discipleship, please know that you will make the devil angry, and therefore we do want to just urgently, as well as sound the alarm in a way, to say that this is a warfare. And the devil is all out to capture our families, but we will win. And this task force has that same sense of urgency. And we have summarized our deliberations of 180 hours in the 4 sessions, 3 hours, into 3 slides because we have 5 minutes. The first is an appeal to pastors, leaders, elders in this room, parents in this room, to shift. You are the change makers. To shift your mindset of the church towards strengthening families. The model that we have been observing is that for the longest time, church has been very church-centered, family-supported. Come to church, come to church. Everything happens in church, and the family gets neglected. 2, a model of family-centered, church-supported. It's going to take a massive shift of mindset. The journey has begun, and we want to invite you to take hold of our report and subsequently further beefed up by these 3 hours of deliberations. Our workshop had 40 participants. I think it's the biggest, if I'm not wrong. Woohoo! But it just shows the interest and the need that is out there. Church needs to be the equipping center and family the ministry center. If you don't know where to start in your church, start first with the marriage. Marriage is the bedrock of family discipleship. When the marriage is strong, everything starts to fall into place. And therefore, we encourage you, even if you don't know where to start in this journey called family discipleship, focus first on your marriage as a pastor, and on your leaders, and then on your church congregation. It will already get you halfway there. The two points there about pastor's marriage being the best model. Fatherhood is another great need, and therefore the Indians in our group said, instead of the Western happy hour, in India, tea time is the happy hour of Asia. And where fathers gather, our hope is not so much to talk about stock market and sports, but use it to begin to talk about how is life as a husband, how is life as a father. And we will get a lot from this. The 4th session we had was how do we disciple and protect the Gen Z and Alpha, who are now the 23-year-olds and below, and the 7-year-olds and below. They are the most important ones because they are still at the moldable stage. And we created this MRI acronym, modeling, 2DM, very important because at these ages, they look to the parents, the pastors, the leaders in their lives. And then authentic relationship is so vital. One of the fathers in our workshop said his best moments are when the son would call him up and say, Papa, can I spend some time with you? And that to him is the win. And then intentionality, we really need to begin to maybe be the first. We found many of the parents of this generation, Gen Z and Alpha, are themselves addicted to devices. And the intentionality to ourselves drop the device and turn our hearts to begin to have conversations and good conversations about things that we have heard throughout this conference, pornography, gender fluidity, and so on. And so with that, we invite you, pastors, the greatest thing, shift your mindset to family-centeredness. Thank you very much.
This is my great privilege to share about what the Mission Task Force has shared as a summary and what the next step that we have to do. And next slide, actually, yes, this is right. There is not much awareness of LGBT community in Asian church to reach these people for God's kingdom. So, it is vital that local Asian church leaders be equipped and prepare the local churches to reach them missionarily. So, the next step, what we have to do is Asian leaders will learn and educate their churches and find all the ways possible to reach LGBT groups. And next, we acknowledge that creation care is a highly neglected issue in Asian churches, and it is time to act, correct? So, to care for the creation, we have decided to plant 10 trees for one baptism. It is a real practical solution. And use every special activity or occasion in the church to plant trees, clean the surroundings, and reduce consumption. From now on. And we acknowledge that Asian churches are not ready to identify and deal with the heresy and cults. And it is the peak seasons to raise awareness and protect the local churches. So, we pledge and recast the National Alliance to have a network department to provide information actively and constantly on current heresies and cults in the country and provide all kind of support to those who come out of the heresies. And next, we understand that still a few Asian churches see faith succession as a threat. But we would like to acknowledge that the both generations should understand that faith succession is not living but leading. And it is a gradual process that all the generation need to ensure for the biblical, healthy, and prayerful succession. Therefore, faith succession is a two-way work where the older generation needs to accept and the younger generation needs to respect and communicate. So finally, overall, we the mission task force have made a commitment to have a missional lens to reach all kinds of communities, offer prayer for the persecuted churches, and keep a consistent relationship in the years to come, and give special attention to the Asian diaspora missions for the kingdoms. So now it is time that we act. So you can see the next slide for the QR code of mission task force. You can scan it in order to join with us, and also you can get more information and material. So still 30 seconds remain. So Mission Commission is the right task force, you know?
Yes, that's right.
Welcome.
In the last 3 days, our task force has gathered around about 10 to 15 people in the room. And it's amazing to see the engagement and many things that we learn from different countries. And there are 4 next steps that we will do. Number 1 is identifying new technology, media, and creators in each country, in each sub-region and regions. I think we will collect a list of people that is surfing in this area so that we as the church can connect with them. And we would like to engage with them. They might come from different background, they might come from different understanding, but we would like to engage with them, understand them, and see opportunity to work with them further. The third one is collaborating between the church, ministry, and people. People in here, we are talking about creators, people who are coming from different industry, especially in the digital media and technology, that we can bridge, we can build a bridge for the churches and ministers to work with them, to understand them. And lastly, we would like to see all these things will impact at the right time when God allows this for each country, sub-region, and regions. The challenge of this media, digital media and technology it's always changing every single minute, every single day. That's why we would like to build a community of champions as well as network of people who have doing it and people who have the heart for it, especially from the church and pastors. This is our rally cry. It's very simple. Digital media and technology will be a vehicle to introduce Jesus, strengthen the church, and extend the mission. Above all else, these 3 things are the core of the movement that Jesus has started years ago. I hope that this will give a perspective for us to step forward out of this event to enter the new landscape of what God has prepared for the church and his mission. Thank you.